Welcome in to the Paul Kuharsky podcast, live from Edleys in 5 Points, East Nashville. Great to be here as always. I'm also brought to you by ZENSPORTS, the place to bet if you're in Tennessee. Glad to be here to talk with you about the Tennessee Titans. We are going to hit on how this team is always incomplete in some form or fashion. The third place schedule, how it's worked out for them this season and what's pending for next year based on their finish this year. Conversion problems, especially third and long, ratings, which we haven't visited on this season, the outsized importance of a game in Houston for this franchise, and much more. Taking your questions throughout the 50 minutes or an hour we will be here. Edley's Barbecue. Pre-order your Thanksgiving meal now. That's what my family and I are going to be doing. You can go Edley's Barbecue, edleysbbq.com. Check that out and visit their locations. I've become an addict here in 5 Points in East Nashville, 1004 Woodland Street, Sylvan Park, Donaldson, Franklin and Berry Farms, my home base, Franklin and the Factory, Gallatin, 12 South, Nolansville. I was in 12 South recently. Had a gathering with my all 22 on Monday afternoon with a very special guest, and then we went to 12 South. Will Newman treated us to some free ribs to go with our fine lunch. Big day. Really enjoyed it. Let's get to work here. Ultimately, I want to talk about how this team's always incomplete, never sustains drives, rushes better, but makes Sam Darnold look like an escape artist, uses the full play clock with 5 minutes left in the game and down 10 points, has excuses for that. And even the pass rush, Jeffrey Simmons and T'Vondre Sweat were probably as good a duo against the Vikings as they have been all season, but incomplete. Denard Wilson talked about how Sweat was good, but missed 2 sacks. I thought Sweat, was better, was more active, but missed opportunities. But he had opportunities, and T'Vondre Sweat having opportunities is an improvement, right? In the pass rush. I don't know how Darnold was so slippery. He was sacked twice. The game book said the Titans had 4 hits on him. That's not enough against a guy like that. He's not a terrifically mobile guy. He was a terrifically mobile guy against the Titans. I talked to a friend from another team who watched this game, and he said that Simmons and Sweat can be as impactful a duo as there is amongst interior players around the league, which is what the Titans wanted when they drafted T'Vondre Sweat and paired him with Jeffrey Simmons. Now, the Titans against Houston see left guard Juice Scruggs, center Jarrett Patterson, right guard Shaq Mason. This leaves Jeffrey Simmons seeing great opportunity. Here's Jeffrey Simmons talking in the locker room on Wednesday about the matchup that the Titans interior duo will get.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you turn on the film, and especially if we can continue to build off last week, me and this guy next to me, he had we was able to dominate the inside of the pocket. That's where when you turn on the film, you see that's where kind of they struggle at. Call them what it is. They struggle inside with protecting. So I love our matchup inside. We just got to have to go in with a mindset that we're going to dominate for 4 quarters. Not doing just the second half or first half. How can we do it for 4 quarters? And like I said, I love our matchup. But quite frankly, if you don't stop the run, you won't be able to get to that because they do a lot of things like the boots and play action pass off their run game, which I said Joe Mixon is having his best year. Props to him. I didn't see that Joe Mixon in Cincinnati. Wish he was still in Cincinnati, but at the end of the day, he's having a hell of a year. He's running real hard. He fit their offense, and I said whatever they did to him in Houston, they're doing a hell of a job at that. But we have to be able to come in with a mindset that we need to stop the run first to be able to affect the quarterback. And so we don't be able to, if we don't stop the run early, we won't be able to affect the quarterback. So.
Now, Joe Mixon, obviously, Brian Callahan should have some special insight into. He worked with him for first 4 years of his career as offensive coordinator, non-play calling offensive coordinator in Cincinnati. The Titans are going to stop him. He's having his best year, as Simmons said. He's in a new system with a new team in Houston, but Callahan should be able to give the defensive pointers on what maybe are the weaknesses and the things that bother Joe Mixon. Simmons, talking candidly about the Houston weakness being the interior of their offensive line there. Here's Denard Wilson on Sweat, and Sweat missing these 2 sacks, but on Sweat getting better. And also, look, quite frankly, Wilson not afraid to talk about more than 7 games ahead, which is what the Titans have left this season. Denard Wilson.
We were around the quarterback, and he was around the quarterback. Honestly, he missed 2 sacks. And when you look at those drives on some of those sacks that we missed, we would have been off the field. And he's right there. I mean, he has total confidence in himself. We have total confidence in him as an organization. And he continues just to get better and better and better. And, this week will be a great test for him. And I can't wait to see him go out there and play.
What's made the difference for him? Get to the point where he's almost there.
Well, he believes in himself even more now. He's had the experience of playing early, playing well within the defense, but he sees himself beating guards. He sees himself beating centers at times, and he understands that he can get more out of the tank. And like I say, every week with him, the more he grows and develops, another off season with him, getting in his best tip-top shape that he can be in, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with, and you see it on a weekly basis.
All reasonable things from Denard, but he's also talking about another off season. So we're looking at 2025 already. Quick aside here, G asks, do I think the Yankees are going to match the Mets offer on Soto? It's a ton of money, but I'm not sure how my guys can let him walk. I am. I've seen that they'd go after Corbin Burns and Bregman and Santander, the right fielder from the Orioles. If I could have a 3-for-1 there, spreading that money around and not doing a 15-year contract, I'd certainly think about it. Sorry, hiding that back. So the other thing about the idea of Sweat and Simmons reaching peak form is that the Titans have not had, and I've been down on this defense. It's not as good as it is statistically. It's not, yardage-wise, it's the number 1 defense in the league. Well, you give up turnovers and punt and kick returns that give teams short fields. They don't have to gain a lot of yards to score. They don't turn the ball over. They don't sack the quarterback. I think that, it's nowhere near as good as it looks on paper. I also think we haven't really seen the defense that the Titans wanted to show us this year because, and I know people are really down on L'Jarius Sneed because the squad injury is going to hold him out a 6th game this week. Chidobe Awuzie we've hardly seen. And Brownlee and Baker have gotten a lot of experience at corner. But let's envision, and Diggs is out for the season now. They're not getting him back. But let's envision for a second if you could get what you got out of Simmons and Sweat, who I underrated in this game initially. Simmons and Sweat doing what they're doing. Key, if he could play like he played when he was at his best, he's already dropped off. Landry, if he could show more. There's a lot of ifs here. But you get Sneed and Awuzie and actually see the defense that you could see. Here's Brian Callahan on kind of envisioning all of that together. Let's see this team with the star cornerbacks it signed up for. It's going to be a back-to-front defense, kind of uncommon. But this defense was supposed to be led by Sneed and Awuzie, kind of holding things down at corner. And while Baker and Brownlee have been good, Brownlee too aggressive, Sneed and Awuzie should be better. So what would this defense look like with 2 better corners who might make more plays. I asked Callahan about that, and I was surprised he was kind of willing to answer. Got that one, JT?
Yeah, we should. It's not letting me. Give me 2 seconds. Let's see if it comes up.
I'll give it 2 seconds. We'll see
There we
if
go.
it comes up.
That's the exciting part to me. I mean, I still, I think, Legarius is dealing with a legitimate injury. Cheeto had a legitimate injury, and hopefully get him back here soon and see what that looks like. And now you have real depth and real players, and you got 4 or 5 guys you feel like that can step in and play and either get you out of a game or two or play long stretch as well. And that part's exciting to me because I know what those other 2 guys are capable of and how well they've played in their past. And you get that level of play out of them with the type of players that have been developed between the other 3 guys playing right now, and you feel really, really good about where your secondary is at. That would be exciting.
Could be exciting. Could conceivably be exciting. So we'll see. JT, your mic's open. So I'd love to hear from Easton, but not at this particular time. JT, letting his voice be heard on here. We'll get a pick from him later. He says legitimate injury, Audrey, because he's gotten a lot of questions, and he knows the vibe is out there about in fandom, and he's been asked about whether Snead is maybe mailing it in. And so he's taken his opportunities there to let everybody know that, this is something serious that he's been dealing with. G says Key must have really wanted to be traded. Guy was elite for 2 weeks. He has quieted down. Key is very much a burst player. And if he could put it together and play like that for an entire season, he would be, what the Titans need opposite Landry. And Landry hasn't had a very good season. A lot of guys on defense have underachieved. I was happy to see Jerome Baker, by the way, out of the side here, play in the first half before Gibbons got hurt. Gibbons played 6 snaps, and Jerome Baker was playing the rest. And I asked Denard about that today, and he said, "Oh, well, that was kind of our plan. Gibbons was going to play most of the second half." Oh, he said Baker was going to play mostly third downs, but he was playing really well, so we left him in. But we were going back to Gibbons in the second half until he, broke his ankle terribly. And obviously, I don't want to see that. Nobody wants to see that. I feel terrible for Jack Gibbons. But they put Baker in there. Baker, who's better at coverage than Murray, then Gibbons. They finally get a coverage backer on the field. But the plan was only let him play for a half. Get a guy on the field in the second half who's going to get beat in coverage. So I just don't really understand their reluctance to play Jerome Baker. He's going to play now because of injury. But they liked the guy in the offseason. If they signed him in the offseason, and they wanted to sign him, they didn't want to let him out of the building. If they signed him in the offseason, they never would have traded for Ernest Jones. And in camp, he undoubtedly would have beaten out Jack Gibbons. And so he would have started ahead of Jack Gibbons, and it would have been Baker and Murray. Now, Gibbons played well, but undoubtedly was going to get caught up in coverage problems because he's not a good coverage back. I just don't really understand that. Let's talk about the schedule a little bit. A lot of people tend to make a big deal. It used to really not be a big deal because before they went to 17 games, it only affected 2 games on their schedule: first place schedule, second place schedule, third place, fourth place. Now it affects 3 games because that 17th game is against an opponent from the other conference, and it's also based on where you finish. So the Titans last year finished 4th, so they got the 4th place schedule. Houston was 1st, Jacksonville was 2nd, Indy was 3rd. The Titans' 4th place schedule, this goes to show you how much things change on a year-to-year basis. The Titans' 4th place schedule got them matchups with Washington, the Chargers, and Cincinnati. Now, Cincinnati's record is not great, obviously, but Washington, very good. Los Angeles, very good. And the Bengals are a good team with a bad record. So let's go through winning percentage. I've taken out all the results of the games against the AFC South that have been played, taking those out. Houston gets a first place schedule. Their 3 teams are 676. So they obviously drew a killer schedule. Jacksonville, second place schedule. Their 3 opponents are 379. Okay. You want that schedule. Indianapolis' 3 opponents, 533. And the Titans' 3 opponents are 548. We didn't get any favors from that schedule. People make too big a deal of that. No, that was not Edley. If somebody walked behind me, it's probably Leo. Titans are in third right now at 2-8. And the Jags are 2-9. Jags are one of 6 teams with a bye week this week, so it'll get everybody even. Good team with a bad record is oxymoronic. I understand that you are what your record says you are. But if I could pick a team with Cincinnati's record, that would be the team I pick. A good offense, bad defense. Don't finish. Disappointing. They have talent for their record. Right now, if the Titans and the Titans are in third because they've got 1 less loss than the Jaguars. So their draw in 2025 would be the Jets at home, the Saints at home, and the Bengals away. Now, if things come out that they finish in fourth right now based on the current standings, they'd get the Patriots instead of the Jets at home. I'd call that a wash, but there's a lot of change coming in New York. There's not a lot of change coming in New England. The Panthers at home, who are, I think, more miserable than the Saints, but also will have less change, right? Saints are getting a new coach for sure. And the Browns away instead of the Bengals away. I would rather go to Cleveland. Somebody who's born in Cleveland has friends there. But the Browns away instead of the Bengals away, that's a better matchup. So that's interesting. But that's not wildly different, I wouldn't say. Jets, Saints, Bengals versus Patriots, Panthers, Browns. It's wildly different than Washington, Chargers, and Cincinnati, and things can change a lot in a year. So Ed Henry asks, did I see that Latham and Skoronski made the all-Belichick team? Ode to all Madden, first or second year players only. I think that's, foreseeable for Latham. Good news for Skoronski, who I think has played increasingly better and is not necessarily getting the credit for it. So that's good for him. I don't really like, I'm not saying Belichick doesn't have credence, but what is Belichick on? 4 different media outlets? For a guy who hates the media, I don't get it. I don't get why people want to hire him. I get why we want to hear what he has to say, but in a year, he's going to be back to saying on to Cincinnati. And I hate that about the whole thing. I hate that about the whole thing to an incredible degree. Everybody out there retweet. We'll get a little bigger audience. I appreciate those of you coming. Thanks for being here. Let me tell you about ZENSPORTS, primary sponsor of this Thursday edition of this podcast for a long time, who I greatly appreciate. Go online and on your phone and get the ZENSPORTS app. It's for people in Tennessee only. The best place to bet. And if you lose your first bet there, you get refunded up to $1,000. No danger first wager bonus. Go to ZENSPORTS. Sign up using TN Paul as your code. TN Paul. Make a bet as little as $10. You get a free year membership to paulkuharsky.com. $81 value. A great deal. And you can bet way more than $10 because if you lose that bet, you get your money back within 24 hours. So win your first big bet. You bankroll yourself for a while, lose your big first bet, and you get your money back within 24 hours. Everything is golden. Do we have picks for you? You are going to ask automatically. Of course we have picks for you. I have a pick for you. The reclusive JT Runke has a pick for you. He's bobbing his head to that. He's letting me see him today. His camera is on. He's looking charming. He's wearing a nice hat. I'm not a rope hat guy, but this is a good looking rope hat that he's wearing. A sponsor of another 440 podcast. You should be listening to him. He podcasts with Stoney Keeley on Friday. Do you have 2 or just 1?
We do Tuesdays and Fridays over at the Hot Read podcast.
Tell people what time those are on so they can.
That's at 4:00 on Tuesdays and Fridays. Check it out.
Tuesdays and Fridays. They do excellent work together. I find them to be a very enjoyable listen. I think the pick this week is the Seahawks plus 1.5 at home against the Cardinals. Cardinals are 6-4 in that division. Everyone else is 5-5. I would love this just to see Seattle pull even with the Cardinals. I don't know what the other 2 matchups are in the division, but I would love it to be really messy and even. And I don't think the Cardinals are as good as they played. Not that 6-4 is a tremendous record, but I think the Seahawks at home is always a tough matchup. And I think Seattle is probably a touch better than 5-5, and the Cardinals are probably a touch worse than 6-4. I'll take Seattle plus 1.5. JT likes the Browns plus 3.5, hosting the Steelers. Steelers have been riding really well, and the Browns. I heard this is Jameis Winston's first game ever at 40 degrees or below. So JT, I think, is raising his eyebrows. He might not have known that, but he's going to have faith that Jameis can handle the weather. These will both be interesting games. I think both be tight. And you can go ahead and parlay those 2, and JT and I'll make you enough money to take your family out to Edleys for a delicious meal. ZENSPORTS, they've been great to me. I hope you'll be good to them. Sign up, use code TNPaul, and get your account going over there. Great fun. Gambling problem, call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 and over in Tennessee to bet. Let's see here. Jeremy Martin. Considering the amount of money in contracts spent this past offseason and the product we're seeing right now, are you surprised Amy and Rand have been quiet and not really said anything? Well, they're quiet and don't say anything, really, no matter the circumstances. I don't expect ownership to say anything. She doesn't talk. Rand likes to say that this time of year is the coach's time to talk, and his time of year is, after the season's over until the next season starts. He doesn't talk during that time of year either. But at this time of year, can get away with kind of saying it's Callahan's time. I think Callahan's been left, as Vrabel was before, to answer for everything. Vrabel, though, had more organizational power and was a different personality. And this regime is supposed to be more collaborative. And if this is a 3-man collaboration between Chad Brinker and Rand Carthon and Brian Callahan, then I think the 2 other collaborators should speak occasionally about things that are unfolding with decisions that they are largely responsible for. Rand is in charge of personnel, and the personnel are failing, and the Titans are 2-8, and I think the fan base is entitled to hear some degree of explanation from him. I think he'll sit down. It's kind of mandated at the end of the year in a press conference. He's not good in front of the press and tends to hide. Talks to his allies, which are not they're not a large number of them in local media, and that's all we're going to get from him. So I think it's a disappointing element to this whole thing that we don't get to hear him assess all of these signings, and I hope we'll assess them thoroughly after the season's over. Because he needs more. Josh is picking up on that. I'm assuming we're not going to get any Rand interviews until the end of the season at this point. But if you only got to ask him one question right now, what would you go with? I'd go with, did you overestimate the caliber of the people that you signed and overspend outside of injuries? I mean, Juice. Hey, Juice, it's been a while since I've seen you, I think. Good to see you. Any chance the Titans sign Rodgers if the Jets let him go, assuming we're not in contention for Shador, but need a fill-in until Riola and Arch Manning are draft eligible? Look, there's no guarantee they get in position for Riola and Arch Manning either. But I don't see the appeal of Aaron Rodgers. It's a fraction of what he was at his peak, and he's a control freak. He's going to come here, he's going to go wherever, and then he's going to want all of his guys. And you're going to have to shape a roster featuring his people. Titans already have a general manager. Just the whole team, from owner to last man on the 53, have to kowtow to him. He's a weird guy who's not worth, the Jets have shown he's not worth the trouble this year. You get the coach fired, got a GM that's put together a really good roster that hasn't produced, fired. And, saw some idiot out there saying, well, he bought land in Nashville. I could totally see him landing with the Titans. That's not a logical line. Rodgers bought land in Tennessee, therefore the Titans are interested in him based on where his land ownership is. That's asinine. The Titans don't make their personnel decisions based on the proximity of the player to them. Look, they need to get a good young quarterback that they can count on for a long time. Now, maybe they get a bridge guy this year, but they need a bridge guy who's going to be malleable for them, not a bridge guy that they've got to be malleable for. I think it's a terrible idea, and I can't envision it happening. What else do we have out there? Seattle and the Rams are making the playoffs, Lewis Chesney said. I don't know about that. Oh, and then Lewis picks up on what I was saying earlier and says, are we a good team with a bad record? And G does a good job answering that and says, no, we're a bad team with a horrible record. Well, I think that's about right. Ed says, if Levis stays status quo and plays like he did in the last 2 weeks, is that enough in my mind to name him the starter next year? I don't think you're naming anybody the starter next year after this season, but I certainly think he could be in the mix for next year. I could see him being the starter next year. I could see him being in competition to start next year. They got a lot of problems to solve. Not enough picks to solve them in. They gave away that third rounder for L'Jarius Sneed, which isn't looking great right now based on how little Sneed's played. And that Sneed did not play at an elite level when he was healthy. And that's why I'm convinced he'd like to be back before this thing's over. And sometime soon, to get out there and to show that he still is the player that he thinks he is and that the Titans thought they traded for. But the Titans, to me, ideally, have a high draft pick, trade out of it, accumulate more draft resources, ideally an additional pick this year and an additional pick next year, first rounder. I mean, if you're trading from 2 or 3 to 10, for somebody that wants a quarterback high in this draft, then you can get a first rounder next year and something in the second or third round this year. Knock out your 3 top needs this year. Clearly, edge, right tackle, wide receiver. Get 3 players to play those 3 positions that can contribute next year. Line yourself up that you'd be in position to get a quarterback next year if you need one. Sign a veteran bridge to compete with Levis next year. Show that year 2 improvement under Callahan. Revise the staff a little bit, certainly special teams coach. Do some work in free agency, not as extensive as last year, to shore up some positions. You got to have a veteran right tackle who can be there with your draft pick there. You need more help along the defensive line / edge. Maybe some better depth at safety. Things like that. Tight end, you could be more dynamic, and have another go at. I think that's a possibility. We're talking about longer third down conversions. Surprising talk about third and long conversions, which they consider longer than 6. So 3rd and 7 or longer. And Will Levis said that this kind of surprised me that like very little is schemed to throw beyond the sticks on this. That they're counting on throwing short like they did. They had a nice conversion to Chigakonkwo early in the game where they threw it and he beat some people. So they're saying that they think it's a better path to throw short and have a guy running to defenders facing him and beating them than it is to throw behind the coverage. I mean, I see a mix of this, but I'm shocked by what percentage Levis says they think they're going to throw short of the sticks and get past the sticks on 3rd and 7 and longer than they are going to scheme something past the sticks. Here's Will Levis on that.
For sure. I think it's become apparent to me just how difficult it is to convert in those situations. Like, you look at the conversions across the league, you might find, 10% of them to be schemed up plays past the sticks where a guy comes open on whatever kind of route, where the other ones are broken plays or checkdowns where they can knife and get it. So, understanding that, knowing how in those situations they're obviously going to be playing the sticks and let you have those underneath ones, and it's going to be on the players to make those guys miss and do what they're paid to do. So let Chig do that, and he took care of the rest. So that was cool to see.
Maybe shitty teams are really contributing to that statistic. But JT, I'd love for you to chime in here. I mean, is it conceivable to you that 10% of 3rd and 7s that are converted, only 10% of them are thrown beyond the sticks?
I think it's I mean, for this team specifically, it is they've been having trouble converting beyond the sticks for sure. I think that it
But
also has,
league-wide?
I don't know if it is really league wide, but like it's more so I think of being able to convert with the wide receiver as well, like putting them in those situations to convert as well.
I think they got to be able to scheme up more than that. They got to aspire to convert more than that. Chigakonkwo is not going to break a tackle, and it's going to take breaking more than one tackle to get past the sticks if he's catching the ball at 4 yards or 5 yards. I think it's a foolhardy philosophy. And Nick Holtz, I thought, would put the brakes on this a little bit, and instead he picked up where Levis left off and took it further. So here's Nick Holtz on the same concept.
Yeah, I think he played really well for the most part. There's a couple of things he wants back, but I thought he managed the game really well. Kind of found completions. I thought that first 3rd down was kind of a big moment for him. Of they all drop past the sticks, he kind of just throws it down to flat. Lets Chig go get it for 11 yards when we're behind the sticks. So rather than kind of jamming it in there. So I thought that was a really good moment for him. And then with him and Nick at the end of the game and kind of hitting some of those passes at the end, they hit the big one for the 90 yards, but the other ones where he just kind of took what was there. He didn't try to do too much. And so I think that was really a lot of growth from him. And he's done that the last 2 weeks. So hope to continue to build on that.
On that Chig pass, he was talking about what a low percentage of conversion back to from throwing
past the sticks.
Beyond the sticks.
Yeah.
He said 10%. Sounded extraordinarily low. Is that low?
It's low. It's really low, but there's sometimes you can set everybody at the sticks and then kind of throw, maybe wrap somebody behind them. There's always still kind of that post safety back there, but for the most part, it's not very high. So that's why when we talk about staying efficient so much is if we get in those 3rd and 10s, 3rd and 12s, the completion percentage is so low, and it's even lower if you're trying to throw it past the sticks. So that's kind of been the completion mindset. It almost turns into a punt return at times for a guy like Chig or some of our guys that are good with the ball in their hands. You can get into them, they make one guy miss, all of a sudden they get it. So, but yeah, it's the 3rd and extra longs are pretty low percentage at this point.
He compares it to a punt return. I mean, they've got no chance now. They're not converting a punt return. That's hopeless. I mean, I need Brian Callahan to scheme something up on a 3rd and 10 once in a while that gets beyond the sticks where they can throw it. If they're counting on their guys to break tackles with defenders facing them, I just feel it's hopeless. And Holtz went on to say, like, well, you want to see a real horror show? Look at Houston on 2nd and 8 or long. So the Titans give up on 3rd and 10. Now they're going to give up on 2nd and 8. So if they don't gain, he said, a win to them is 4 yards on first down. So if they don't get to 2nd and 6, go to the bathroom. Wait for the defense. Go get your beer. Go pop the popcorn. Whatever. It is a 1-down series if they don't get 4 yards, because they think it's a horror show if it's 2nd and 8. I mean, they've set my expectations extraordinarily low. Horror show if it's 2nd and 8. I mean, 2nd and 8, give me 2 4-yard plays. You wanted a 4-yard play on first down. You can't give me 2 4-yard plays at 2nd and 8? And you're going to throw short of the sticks on 3rd and 4? I mean, it sounds like they don't think they can get to 3rd and 4 from 2nd and 8. I don't really understand. But there's a certain give up mentality there where you say on 3rd and 7 or more, we can't throw it beyond the sticks. I mean, 3rd and 7 and more is 3rd and long, but he's talking 3rd and 10 and more. I mean, it's a 3-yard difference. So on 3rd and 7, you can throw beyond the sticks, but on 3rd and 10, you can't. I'm just puzzled by the whole thing. I think you need to be more aggressive. Certainly, you don't want to be in 3rd and long as often as you are. But when you're there, give it a try. Give it the old college try. But if your best play is because you threw it to Chig one time and he broke a tackle and got you first time, you say, see, we can throw it short of the sticks, and we're going to throw it short of the sticks, and we're going to get first downs, and that now becomes your philosophy. Well, I see you getting tackled short of the sticks a lot. Ryan Stonehouse, stay loose, buddy. Stay loose. What do we got here? Joe says, I think it's more to do with their level of trust with Levis. I agree, but Levis made some throws in this game. By the way, they were beyond the sticks. Throw to Bryce Oliver, off his back foot, beyond the sticks. I don't remember the down and distance, but it was a 33-yard gain, if I'm not mistaken. Calvin Ridley, 51 yards, except that the lineman doesn't know how to line up. Right? 98 yards. I think that 3rd down, JT?
Yeah, it was. It was 3rd down after because they rushed it to Tony Pollard. He almost gets a safety. Then they QB sneak it, and then NWI on the 3rd down there for 98 yards.
3rd and what? 3rd and 8? 3rd and
yeah, it has to be. Yeah,
it's 3rd and 8 from the 2. They trusted Will Levis there to throw a 98-yard touchdown pass. I mean, they certainly called the go for it shot. I mean, he threw some great balls in this game. I'm not a silver linings guy, and I found some silver linings in the Minnesota game. I thought they looked like a competitive football team against a good Minnesota team. Maybe as good a team as we've seen all year. Maybe there's some recency bias there. I don't know how they looked as good as they look, considering the fact that they only scored 13 points. So outside of that 98-yard field goal, there were only touchdown. There were only 2 damn field goals. But I still felt like somehow they were in it. But I mean, I think the level of trust with Levis should be going up. CW says, I think too many times they call cowardly play calls. Darn, he threw a 98-yard touchdown in his own end zone on 3rd and 10. It might have been 3rd and 8. I don't get Callahan sometimes. It's like he needs a 3rd and 3. I tend to agree with that. Nick says, problem with the Titans offense is they game plan to have 3rd downs to get 3 downs to have 10 yards. If they change their mindset to have 4 downs to get 10 yards, that would dramatically change the play calling. Change the mindset and lead to more success. Well, you can't game plan 4 downs to get 10 yards on your side of the field. You can't, because if you don't convert on 4th down, you're giving the team the ball at their own 30-yard line, and that's the problem I'm talking about with the defense, where you're giving up short fields all the time. I thought you were going to say the other thing. How about getting a 1st down on 2nd down once in a while? Get a 1st down on 1st down once in a while. You know, they want 4 yards on 1st down, which I understand. But you can throw a 12-yard pass on 1st down sometime on 2nd down. On 3rd and long, everybody's expecting the draw play. Every defense or everybody in the crowd, every Titans fan. I mean, I think they give up a lot of drives. I think they give up on a lot of series when they get a holding call, when they get a sack, when they get a back tackled for a loss on 1st or 2nd down. I think there's just a mentality of we're going to punt this ball and take our chance on the next series. And I don't think that's a very healthy thing. That's there's quarterback doubt in there for sure, but I think there should be less quarterback doubt. CW's having an exchange with Ed here, but he says Ridley's starting to click with Levis. He likes left guard. Cushenberry will be back. Radens has improved, but the last 2 weeks have seen some bad snaps. Need a new tight end 1, right tackle, edge, free safety, inside linebacker. I mean, if Baker stays, Baker and Murray, I mean, Murray can't cover very well, but he's a decent downhill player. I think Baker would need to be re-signed, but I would like Baker, Murray, then develop Williams and Gray and Reese behind them. But you can't spend a whole bunch of resources on inside linebacker. Fix the O-line and many problems are solved. Besides left tackle, what position problems can we confidently say have been solved this year? Well, I think they've done a good job at running back post Henry. And I think they might be averaging more yards per game running even after that awful effort against Minnesota than they were last year, which is hard to believe. I mean, I think cornerback is better even without the starting corners, which is really saying something about the corners. I think interior defensive line, is coming into shape. Certainly, Danico Autry is one of the guys that they've missed the most. Sweat is moving inside from Autry, who was Sweat's, a tackle. Sweat is a nose tackle / defensive tackle, whereas Autry was a defensive tackle or was an end / edge. And so, but there are a lot of positions that aren't fixed, but it wasn't for lack of effort. They signed guys. We liked most of the guys that they signed. We had doubts about Murray. But who else among the guys that they signed did the consensus really not like? I want to talk about ratings. The last game, Vikings game, Titans had a 15 rating and a 49 share. Those are solid numbers for this year. The Titans are averaging a 15.3 rating and a 47 share. Every game was number 1 except Buffalo, which was number 2. In 2023, they had an 18.2 rating and a 52 share. So they're down from 18.2 to a 15.3. And from a 52 share to a 47. And in 2022, they were a 21.2 share rating and a 50 share. So 21 to 18.2 to 15.3, 50 to 52 to 47. I don't think these are surprising based on where the team is in terms of performance. And I think I don't have evidence around the league, but I think for a bad team, this is probably the trend. I think for TV, it's the trend. People are watching less TV. Even the NFL, which is the most watched TV product in the country, unsurprisingly down. NFL is king. Local NFL is king. I'm curious about your viewing habits. I think the kind of people that are in here are the kind of people that are still going to be watching on a regular basis. But I thought this was curious. The worst rated game of the season was at Detroit on 11.9. That game obviously was a massive blowout in the second half. Best rated game was against the Jets. That was the home opener, 17.9. And the all-time peak for this team, back in 2019. Well, no, 2004, 26.5. So you're down from 2023, 33.4. So you're down from a 33.4 to a 15.3, less than half. Something I'll get into more when we get the whole season kind of numbers. Kim Dunaway. I've got a beef with Kim Dunaway. She's checked out of the season. She missed the past week. She's just here for the entertainment. Appreciate you coming, Kim. Kim, a diehard supporter of PaulKuharsky.com, for which I am eternally grateful. I mean, here she's checked out of the season. She's not even watching games, but she's coming to the podcast to have some fun and to be entertained. But Robbie and Rexroad, we were talking about the three of us in good-looking order, and she ranked me third. Now, I mean, that'd be fine. I'm not the most handsome guy. Look at me. Look at me. But she thinks I'm less good-looking than both Joe Rexroad and Robbie Stanley, who are also not very handsome men. So that was really disheartening, Kim. I went home that day, and frankly, I mean, that was Wednesday. Here we are, Thursday afternoon. It's still bothering me. So I think you owe me something to make up for that. That hurts. There, she sends me a heart. I think it's going to take more than a purple heart. But I think I deserve a purple heart for the beating I took. Here, Jeremy Martin who expresses kind of the sentiment I would have as a fan. This is the sentiment I have as a Yankee fan, as a Chelsea fan, as a U.S. soccer fan. He says, I don't care how bad the Titans are. When NFL football ends in February, the rest of the year until August sucks, so I'll take whatever I can get. I don't go that far. Like when baseball season's over, I don't think the rest of the year sucks. I'm a fan of NFL in a different way and stuff. But, the other night, I've got Monday Night Football. I'm watching Survivor on Wednesday nights now because Sam Phelan's on it. I watch Thursday Night Football. But there have been some Tuesday nights where I go, it'd be great if the Yanks were on right now. Or I'm watching hot stove stuff, curious about what they're going to do and what they're not going to do, stuff like that. I'm always, craving something about my team or anticipating opening day, and I just I really appreciate that comment because I don't really understand people who don't want to see their team play. And I tend to agree with Jim McCann here. Jim, I appreciate your patience with with what we've been dealing with privately. Die-hard fans don't check out on their team. And I tend to think that. Trevor, your comment goes without saying. I won't even put it up here. Blame the bad camera angles. Well, the day we were doing the good-looking contest, Rexroad was the only one on screen. Robbie wasn't even on screen. Ed says blame the bad camera angles. I believe that radio is a audio medium, but I put myself up against them in a looks competition any day. What else do I have here that we need to cover? Edley's Barbecue. Need to re-emphasize just what you're missing. Pre-order your Thanksgiving meal at edleysbbq.com. EDLEYS bbq.com. It's really a good consideration. Maybe you want to scrap your entire Thanksgiving preparation and let Edleys take over the whole thing. Maybe you just want to add brisket to what you do from your regular tradition. Maybe you want to do the sides at home and get meat from Edleys. My family is going to do a mix and match deal. My wife makes a fantastic macaroni and cheese that my son and I love. That's a family tradition from her side. She's going to make that, but we're going to get meat from Edleys. We're going to get their 3-bean salad, which we all like. Bean salad, I think it's just called. But I encourage you to check them out. Go to the website, look at the options. You can do all kinds of things. and location near you. East Nashville here in 5 Points, Sylvan Park, Donaldson, Franklin and Berry Farms, Franklin at the factory, Gallatin, 12 South Nolensville, one near you. Definitely something to think about. And you know how you can think about it is go have lunch or dinner at Edleys sometime soon. Leon turned me on to there he is, my man. He turned me on to the dry rub of fried ribs. Then I went over to Franklin. I had the dry rub. I didn't have them dry rub. I had them barbecued. Man, they were good barbecued too. Do you do that here? Yeah. No, but the same ribs that you get the fried ribs, but I had them barbecued.
They're the same rib.
Same rib. Oh my God. You've turned me into an addict. This is Leon. He'll take good care of you. Make some great margaritas. Give you some drinks. He'll take care of you, Leon. Great people at Edleys. A great local business for you to support. I encourage you to come and check them out. A couple last items here. Titans points and losses. The Titans are 8-26 in their last 34 games. 8-26 in their last 34 games. 7 of those 8 wins required at least 20 points. Points and losses, unbelievably low. In the 7-game losing streak to end 2022, they averaged 15 points. In 2023, when they lost 11 games, in those games they averaged 13.6 points. In their 8 losses in 2024, they have scored 14.9 points. So in those 26 losses, they have averaged 14.4 points. I don't know how you can handle that. It's just crazy. Sam has been very good on Survivor, and it has really sustained the press room. He's out of town this week. Otherwise, every Thursday we get in there and we rehash the episode and we talk about what's gone on. They're down to 8, and he is alive, rooting for him. He's had some friends in town. I met Genevieve at the game on Sunday. She was delightful. I think she's an excellent player of the game. So we have a big time talking about it in the press room. Everybody's watching and talking. So he's terrific. Brian Callahan understands that for Amy Adams Strunk, a game in Houston is not a regular game. It's disproportionately weighted. I understand the history and how it would absolutely mean more to the people that have been involved in it for a long time. She tends to weight this game heavily. Sometimes when it's further towards the end of the year, maybe more so. It's not a good game to get blown out in. I think Brian Callahan's perfectly safe. It would be a great game for Rand Carthon's free agent acquisitions to all bomb out in. It wouldn't be a great game for Danico Autry to get 3 sacks. Wouldn't be a great game for Azeez Al-Shaair to have interception return for a touchdown. Just not. She's at home in suburban Houston. She's, driving, probably 25, 30 minutes to the game. It means a lot to her still. It's always going to mean a lot to the Adams family. Probably not Kenneth. When it gets turned over to Kenneth, it probably won't mean the same degree of things. But as long as Amy's still owning it, it's going to mean something. And so it's a good game for the Titans not to lose badly. It'd be a great game for the Titans to spring an upset. Lewis says, why do I support someone who throws me under the bus, Mr. Paul? WTF. Gonna need some context there, Lewis. Tall Texan said, Houston will have a healthy lead in the last game in Nashville, so they'll rest players, allowing the Titans to possibly win. I don't know. Playoff positioning could still be in question. Whether that matters or not, we will see. Here's something I think if you're a fan of this team, and I've wished this for fans of this team, it's some fun. And there was, I think there was a stretch of fun in this Minnesota game, and Will Levis said as much. There's a gain of confidence and some fun when the offense was clicking. Now, this is the unsustainability I led off talking about. They don't sustain things for long enough stretches of time for things to translate into wins, and they need that to be the case. Just can't sustain things long enough. And 13 points is getting you nowhere. I just read you the numbers. But in a season where you're looking for pieces and crumbs and nuggets, to hear Will Levis talk like this about fun is not nothing. It's not nothing. Hit it, JT. Will Levis on fun.
Oh, good. I mean, it was just fun. It was just I made the comment. I just feel like I hadn't had that much fun on the football field in a while. Just when you're able to have the opportunities to make those types of plays, it's cool. I mean, I truly feel like throwing a football is the most fun thing on earth. And some games you have opportunities to make those kinds of throws, and that was one of those games, and it was fun to get those on tape and to give the receivers and everyone else confidence that we were able to make those types of plays. So it was really cool, a lot of fun. Felt like right at that period there in the third quarter where the momentum was going our way and things were going well, and we feel like we kind of throw the ball all over the place, and we didn't get the job done, but at least for that brief moment, that confidence was big for us in the long run, I think.
Not nothing. Crumbs and nuggets, which is making Nigalos hungry over here, as should Edley's sponsorship. A couple funny things here before we go. Ed Henry is rooting for Amy to join the new administration as an ambassador like Woody Johnson. That would give us a taste of what Kenneth Adams could do as the leader of this team, the eventual controlling owner. I think a lot of people who want the team sold should be thinking instead of that about what Kenneth Adams is going to be like as an owner, because that's where this thing is heading ultimately. David Jackson, do I think they're going to finally go back to letting Levis sling it and not worry as much about turnovers? I don't know about that. They made this sound very game plan specific, right? Minnesota was doing a lot of cover zero and blitz heavy, and Levis kind of made them pay with some throws that got them out of the zero. So I think if you're looking at what the Titans did against the Vikings, if you're Houston, you'd be less likely to blitz and more likely to play coverage, which is going to give him more problems. One parting thought here. If you're upset with L'Jarius Sneed and questioning his heart, I would take that and refocus it on somebody who is playing. What do we think about Nicholas Petit-Frere's heart? Joe Rexrod raised this. Like, is he a serious football person? I'd spend more time on that than L'Jarius Sneed. Let's see about L'Jarius Sneed's heart when he's back on the field. But in the meantime, let's look at the hearts of guys who are on the field. And I think the guy who you could lead the questioning with there is Nicholas Petit-Frere. He got dog in him. Doesn't seem like he's got fire, as CW saying there, or dog in him. And I'm going to try to ask Bill Callahan about that back at the facility here shortly. Appreciate you joining me. I'll see you this weekend from the press box at whatever Houston Stadium's called now. I can't remember. Looking forward to a trip down there. Hopefully it'll be warmer than it is here. Please eat at Edleys. Consider Thanksgiving dinner items from Edleys. Go sign up at ZENSPORTS. Use TN Paul to sign up there. Bet at least $10. You get a free year membership at paulkuharsky.com if you want that. And sign up for membership at paulkuharsky.com. You're missing out on high quality content. If you're a big Titans fan, you've really got to be in the middle of it at pk.com. I appreciate you. Retweet this if you're listening on Apple, Spotify, iHeart. Be sure to rate, review. If you're on YouTube, give a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe. Don't block the box. Be sure to lock your locks. Take care, everybody.